Dillian the Body Snatcher right here. It's a champ. Big up to Sporting Icon. Subscribe. Otherwise, I might pay you guys a visit.
Okay, so the WBC have left it quite late in the month, but you know what? Better late than never. To release their new rankings up and down their weight divisions. Of course, in this video, we're going to be talking about the heavyweight division. There are a couple of changes here and there, which I'll address as this video goes along. So as always, like I do each and every month with all the sanctioning bodies, I'll go through the top 15, point out the changes, see what fights they've just had, to maybe see why they've been, have their positions changed, whether it be plus or minus, see what fights they've got coming up, all that kind of good stuff. So make sure you are subscribed. It's always handy to know who is ranked, what, where, and when. It's a very good prediction tool. It really is, and it usually works out, so make sure you are subscribed. In fact, I think I'm the only person here on YouTube that does this each and every month. Go check out the previous WBA and IBF. I will not be doing the WBO for the heavyweight division this month because no changes whatsoever with the WBO. I'm not going to just repeat a video. Just go check last month. It's exactly the same rankings. Anyway, so here is the top 15 for the WBC. Tyson Fury is, of course, the WBC World Heavyweight Champion. Of course, he also holds the Ring magazine. Dillian Whyte is the WBC Interim World Heavyweight Champion. Of course, these guys will be having their fight for the belt on April the 23rd at Wembley Stadium. Number 1, Deontay Wilder. Number 2, Joyce. Number 3, Joseph Parker. Number 4, Frank Sanchez. Number 5, Andy Ruiz Jr. Number 6, Arslanbek Makhmudov. Number 7, Ajit Cabello. Number 8, Luis Ortiz. Number 9, Filip Hrgovic. Number 10, Michael Hunter. Number 11, Tony Yoka. Number 12, Otto Wallin. Number 13, Robert Helenius. Number 14, Martin Bakole. And number 15, Daniel Dubois. So, changes. Well, there's a couple of people who have moved up and, of course, moved down. I suppose the standout one would be number 6, Arslanbek Makhmudov. Now, he's been moved up by 3 positions. Reason being, last month, about this time last month, I think it was, he stopped Mariusz Wach. Now, Makhmudov, he's only had 14 fights now, and looking very, very good. He's a big, strong, heavy-handed fighter. Huge knockout power. And I suppose the talking point for a lot of people would be the fact that he's Russian. Now, we know the WBA, they've removed all Russian fighters up and down their weight divisions outside of the champions. So, of course, like Dmitry Bivol, of course, is WBA world champion at light heavyweight. Of course, he can be defending that belt against Sal Canelo Alvarez. So he keeps his position because he's champion. But every other Russian fighter up and down the weight divisions has been removed from their top 15. Now, the WBA and the WBC, they're quite close in the sense of they do tend to mirror each other with a lot of the things that they do. But for the WBC to not remove Arslanbek Makhmudov, does that mean that they disagree with the WBA by saying, well, whatever's happening with Russia and Ukraine over there, we can point the finger at Putin, we can point the finger at the countries, if you like. But individually, it's unfair because, obviously, for example, this one, Arslanbek Makhmudov, what's he got to do with the war? He's not over there fighting. He's not the one flying the jets over, dropping bombs, or on there on the ground, shooting up buildings and blowing up buildings and creating civilian casualties, if you like. So maybe that's their thinking. And I know a lot of you would agree with that kind of thinking. A lot of you would disagree as well, for the sense of, well, maybe because you're a Russian, then maybe part of your purse goes to the Kremlin. But anyway, that's a debatable point for a lot of you. Should Arslanbek Makhmudov be dropped from the top 15, just like the WBA have? But on this month, they've actually promoted him by 3 positions, following his win over Mariusz Wach. Now, other positions that have changed, King Kong Luis Ortiz has dropped down 2 positions. Now, I'm not too sure if Luis Ortiz should be ranked in the top 10 anyway, to be honest. Because, and again, I'll say it each and every time I talk about him, who's he beaten? Who? I mean, his biggest win is probably Bryant Jennings back in 2015, followed by maybe a Tony Thompson or a Dave Allen. The only real time that he stepped up twice was against Deontay Wilder. Yes, he was winning both those fights quite handedly. Won every second of every round, especially in the rematch, of course. But ultimately, he went amateur. He still got that amateur style, and he got sucked in. And the right hand landed on him, and he sat on the floor looking all confused. Didn't know whether to get up, didn't know whether to stay down, spit out the gum shield. And either way, he's lost. He's lost twice to Deontay Wilder. So who's he going to fight next? To be honest with you, I really couldn't care less. Unless his name is Andy Ruiz Jr., I really don't care. I really don't care. Again, we're talking about PBC side of the street. They like to keep their PBC fighters close at hand. So if he ends up fighting a Chris Arreola or something like that, I really couldn't care less. I couldn't care less. But of course, maybe he could end up fighting a Joshua. He could end up fighting a Joe Joyce or something. Again, that would be quite interesting. But until then, couldn't care less. Filip Hrgović, he's been dropped down a position as well. Again, Filip Hrgović, he hasn't had a fight in a little while. But that said, he is fighting for the vacant IBF mandatory position against Zhilei Zhang from China. So both these guys are currently undefeated. Zhilei Zhang, he does have a draw on his resume, where I think most people feel that he lost that fight. But still, it is officially two undefeated fighters. So maybe that's why, because they know he's going down the IBF route. Robert Helenius, he's been dropped down a position to number 13. Robert Helenius is the WBA gold champion. Now, Robert Helenius has been ordered to defend that belt against Hughie Fury, where the winner will be in line for, well, it's an eliminator for the world title. Okay, so I'll be interested to see if Robert Helenius will take on Hughie Fury. Again, the WBO did order that about a month ago. And when I spoke to Ben Shalom, I said, this is a good fight. You know, is this something that maybe you should consider doing? And he agreed. Yeah, it's an interesting fight. So we'll have to wait and see if Robert Helenius will end up fighting Hughie Fury. Again, Hughie Fury is not ranked in this top 15. In fact, a couple of fighters are not ranked in this top 15. Joe Joyce, number 2. I mean, he was there last month. He hasn't had a fight since. Obviously, he's been out with a wrist injury. They said that he caused it by punching a heavy bag or something. Maybe too much time alone, lad. Anyway, so Juggernaut, he's still number 2, but there's been a lot of talk that maybe he could end up fighting Anthony Joshua next. You know, Anthony Joshua recently put out that an opponent has all been agreed. Everything seems pretty set. An announcement on that will be announced in due course. Could it be Joe Joyce? Could it be Luis Ortiz? Could it be Otto Wallin? Again, Otto Wallin is down there in number 12. Now, he wasn't in the top 15 for quite some time, which is why when he was meant to be taking on Dillian Whyte, it wasn't going to be for the interim title that Dillian Whyte holds, because he wasn't ranked in the top 15. Of course, Dillian Whyte, he got injured. Legitimately, he did. I know some people seem to think that he didn't, but he legitimately did. I can promise you that. So he pulled out that fight. Next month, Otto Wallin gets put into the top 15. But Otto Wallin is a nice guy. I met him in Cardiff a couple of weeks back there on the Chris Eubank and Liam Williams show. Very, very nice guy. Didn't look great against Kamil Sokolowski, or I will say that. But it is what it is. But you know what? I'd like to see Otto Wallin fight somebody worth a damn. And I think Otto Wallin would too. Not too much changes, really, with everybody else. So not too much to talk about. Deontay Wilder, of course, is still ranked number 1. He hasn't had a fight since he got knocked out by Tyson Fury. So really, he's lost his last 2 fights by knockout in a row, and he's still ranked number 1. But again, we know the WBC like him. They do like him. And again, Wilder, outside of Luis Ortiz, he hasn't beaten anybody worth a damn. That's the reality of it. But to be fair, he is the former WBC World Heavyweight Champion. So he does deserve some respect to be ranked quite high. I think number 1 is a bit of a long shot. But ultimately, let's see him maintain that position. Let's see him fight somebody in this top 10. Well, top 15 would be fine. I mean, to be honest, there's nobody in the top 15 that I would go, nah, I don't really want to see that fight too much, other than a Luis Ortiz 3rd fight. Of course not. I mean, who the hell wants to see that? But anybody else in that top 15, I'll be okay with. I would be okay with. But again, is he going to retire? Has he gone off to Peru to smoke the funny backy? I don't know what it is, or drink their funny tea, because he's meant to be having some hallucinogenic trip to make a decision as to whether or not he's going to retire or not. As I said when I told you all that story, that if you feel the need to take a hallucinogenic to determine your future, maybe that's your answer. Maybe you should quit. I don't want to see him quit. There are some fights out there I want to see him participate in, like the Andy Ruiz Jr. fight. Why not? Ruiz didn't look great in his last fight, so why not? Why not? Maybe Anthony Joshua. Anyway, we'll have to wait and see. So other than that, not too much changes with the WBC, but I suppose the biggest talking point will be the Arslanbek Makhmudov one. Should he be in the top 15? Should he not? Should he be punished for what's happening with his country? Drop your thoughts below, click thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next video.